Can y'all see me? Anita, greetings. Can you see me? Can y'all see me? Can y'all hear me? I've been fighting with this internet this morning. Y'all see me? You can? Am I glitching? Because I've been fighting with this darn Wi-Fi these last few minutes, trying to get this thing up. I'm good. No? That's weird because my whole box, the satellite and stuff that we got, it says it's off and it's not detecting it from my phone. And it's just been acting crazy. So I'm good. Okay, well, I'm just gonna keep rolling because I thought this was the issue yesterday. But I don't know. My husband's like, the Wi-Fi not coming on. We paid our bill, So I'm like, what in the world going on with this? So we reset it. Been up playing with it this morning. I'm like, let me just hop on and see. I don't know. Maybe I need to maybe they did some updates or something to the app. That's what I didn't do. I didn't delete the app and re-upload it. But if y'all say I'm good, if I start glitching, somebody please let me know. Okay. All right. Okay. Y'all say I'm good. We just gonna start Facebook. Thought I'd start Facebook. All right, we just gonna keep going. It could be set apart in the wire. Something happening. Something happening. But I don't be having issues anywhere else. Like I have to work online all day and with my school, I don't run into any kind of issues till it's time to come live. Okay. All right. And the kids, when they up, they on their games. Jeremiah, when he here, he be online doing school. My son down here online and okay. All right. So we just gonna keep moving. Y'all just let me know if it start acting crazy. All right, y'all. Well, happy Monday. It is December the 5th, 2022, day 280 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And on the 4-year consecutive day count, we on day 1300. 1300. That's how many days we've been present, aside from the Sabbath days that we take off, right? All right, y'all. So today we going back to the book of Oahspe. Did I not move my thing? Sure didn't. On page, nope, that is not it. On page 75. Yeah, page 75 in Oahspe in the book of Oahspe, son of Jehovah. And once we get done here, we're going to hop right over to the field guide to the spirit world, which I forgot to get out. And then we're going to pick up there where we left off at on page 163, down at the bottom, Logoria. And I think I'll reread that that 4-list bullet point. Then we'll get going. All right, y'all. So let's get this popping. And then I say hey to everybody. Father, we thank you that your love is unmatched on all worlds through any generation. Nobody can compare to you. All right. Nene, shalom, sis. We'll say hey to you first. Hey, girl. Hey, and everybody else over here hanging out in the background on Facebook. Top of the morning to you. Over here on YouTube. Anita, greetings, sis. Vanessa, shalom. Elijah, Grand Rising family. Set apart, Ema, shalom, shalom. Anita, Tabitha, Kindred, shalom, shalom. Derry CM, shalom. Hannah, shalom. Dawn, Grand Rising, sis. Shayla, hey, girl, hey. What's up, cousin? All right, y'all. So let's get started here. Today, page 75, we're on chapter 10 or chapter X here in Oahspe. All right. Jehovah said, Neph, my son, God of earth, Hear thou the voice of thy Creator, for as thou callest on me in thy sore hour of trial, so did I come to these and deliver the earth and heaven through my Son of the ark of Noah in Ethera. Remember now the upraised of Huatan, heaven of darkness, and Uklu in the firmament, for they are thine until the next Dan appeareth on the earth. God said, I have heard thy voice, O Jehovah, but what shall thy servant do? Behold, thy ark son, have left with thine upraised children of darkness, gods and goddesses who transcended thy servant, so far in wisdom and power that he scarce can look upon them. How then shall it be with me, thy servant? Jehovah said, nevertheless, the upraised children of darkness are thine own family, and the glory of thy house in heaven shall be the light thou shalt make manifest in them. Fear not, the gods and goddesses understand this matter. That's cool. He said, fear not. Everybody knows what's going on. You good. Therefore, Jamia, shalom, shalom. And I forgot to say, hey, everybody hanging out in the background on YouTube. Everybody hanging out in the background. Top of the day to you. Verse 4, page 75. Therefore, when thou hast put thy kingdom in order and established the heaven of earth and all its parts, and stationed messengers betwixt thy throne and the thrones of thy lords on earth, behold, thou shalt leave thy vice God to rule in thy stead for a season, and thou shalt go to Huatan in the Etherian forest, for thou shalt be expected of them. God said, thy will be done, O Father. I perceive thy wisdom and glory and justice. Now will I sojourn on my throne 1 year, and thou, my vice God, shall relieve me, whilst I go and visit my rebellious children in Uklu, where gods and goddesses are overseeing them. The vice God said, thy will be done, God of heaven and earth. So it came to pass that in 1 year's time, God had established in heaven such good manner that he could control the affairs of angels and men in the way of everlasting life. Do me a favor too. Go tell Elijah I said get up. Go knock on the door. His clock going on. Tell him I said get up. They got to be out of here in a few. Therefore, hold on. I'm sorry. Verse 7. God informed his council, which consisted of 500,000 Etherians, men and women, of the words of Jehovah, adding thereunto. And for 1 year will I remain in Huatan, that I may become known to them whom I have risen. But at the end of that time, I will return hither and bring with me. Hold on. So you made me lose my place. He didn't get up. Hold on. I looked up at her and lost my place. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me just read verse 8 again. And for 1 year will I remain in Huatan, that I may become known to them whom I have risen. But at the end of that time, I will return hither and bring with me such new volunteers as Jehovah may command. It was known in heaven that God would leave at the proper time, and to honor him in Jehovah's name, his hosts near and far, to the number of 10 million, came to see him depart. And when God saw them, he proclaimed a day of recreation, and the people mingled together, and especially to reconverse on the matter of the deliverance of earth and heaven and the going down of Pan as it had been. On the following day, all hands being refreshed and assembled in order, according to the discipline of gods, God spake from the throne, saying, hear the words of your God, and rejoice in the founding of a new heaven. Be wise in heeding that which I shall utter, and make yourselves steadfast in all proven things. Here are millions who stood by my side in the name of the Creator, in those days of darkness in heaven and earth. Here are millions who stood by my side in the name of the Creator in the days of darkness in heaven and earth. For 3,000 years our battle lasted, and from out the darkness, behold, our prayers went up to him who is over all and above all. And your God said, surely Jehovah will deliver when the vortex mergeth into high Dan. And ye all repeated the same thing. And the unity of our souls desired reached up to the Orion chiefs, Jehovah's mighty sons and daughters. For as it is proven that a man in conflict with himself accomplisheth nothing, whilst he who is in harmony with himself is mighty, wherein he ruleth himself to a good purpose. Even so hath it been proven that the unity of many angels can, by force of their own wills, control the place and proceedings of a world. That's good. And by your faith in this matter with your God, ye became a star of faith in Jehovah, which is the mastering of all things to his glory. Let me read that again. Talking about being on one accord, all minds alike. Sort of like the deliverance that we read about day before yesterday, when they was on different continents coming together, agreeing that they was going to help get this person delivered of all of the spirits that were invading his body. So essentially they had exorcism, so to speak, right? Listen, verse 13, page 76. For as it is proven that a man in conflict with himself accomplishes nothing, whilst he who is in harmony with himself is mighty, wherein he ruleth himself to a good purpose, even so hath it been proven that the unity of many angels can, by force of their own wills, control the place and proceedings of a world. And this is talking about angels, but we clearly see this done here on our level as well. Even so hath it been proven that the unity of many angels can, by force of their own wills, control the place and proceedings of a world. And by your faith in this matter with your God, ye became a star of faith in Jehovah, which is the mastering of all things to his glory. And they who were without an all highest in person were without power and of no effect, save to build up discord to our proceedings, whilst those who assumed to be gods and lords, but ignored Jehovah, were not sustained, for having nothing higher than themselves, they rose only to themselves, which is manifested on earth, even as it was in those days in heaven, boasting of good works or of good prayers, but housing themselves about with the earnings of others. Did not these false gods and false lords set up self and worship it? And the fruits of their inspiration and their slaves under them were the angels they sent to rule over mortals, for the glory of their philosophy, wherein mortals also soon said the same things of themselves, which was, behold, there is no God nor Lord of wisdom in heaven and earth. Verse 16, whereby the doctrines of the false gods and lords overturned even their own kingdoms, changing heaven into Hada, or changing heaven into hell. But when the light of Jehovah came, ye and your gods and lords were one with his voice, wherefore ye have been preserved in victory. And now hath it come to pass that your God and lords have established a new heaven and new earth for the glory of the Father. And he who labored so long in your love now goeth to the other wing of the battle, where your brethren, toiling with those in darkness, will rejoice to hear of your fruitful labors. Then God turned to his right and said to Eolate, vice god of Jehovah. Remember, Eolate was the god in control of Pan before they had to sink it, right? They give him some time to redeem himself. You become vice god. Watch this really supposed to work here now. Then God turned to his right and said to Eolate, vice god of Jehovah, because thou wert robbed of thy division of the earth, even whilst thou wert in good work, Jehovah hath bestowed thee well. Thou shalt therefore hold the triangle of the gods of heaven until thy God returneth. Thereupon God hung the triangle on Eolate's neck, saying, in Jehovah's name, all hail, God of heaven and earth. If I was sitting there, I'd have been like, wait a minute, who you said about to be vice God while gone on out here for a year? Everybody do understand we just had to sink this continent Pan. All this good work I've been building up, and you gonna bring him over here to rule over my part while I go out for a year. Explain to me why we're gonna do this. I might be coming back to some crap. Listen, let me read verse 14. I'm sorry, verse 17 again. And then God turned to his right and said to Eolate, vice God of Jehovah, because thou wert robbed of thy division of the earth, even whilst thou wert in good work, Jehovah hath bestowed thee well. Thou shalt therefore hold the triangle of the gods until thy God returneth. Hold on. Thou shalt therefore hold the triangle of the gods of heaven until thy God returneth. Thereupon God hung the triangle on Eolate's neck, saying, In Jehovah's name, all hail, God of heaven and earth. The host of millions repeated, All hail, God of heaven and earth. And God came down and sat at the foot of the throne in the custom of gods. And he who had been anointed came down and took his hand, saying, Arise, O God, and go thy way. And God rose up, and the two, with their marshals and attendants, went down by the borders at the line of the pillars of fire, where the proper persons had a ship with mantles and curtains and. What is this? What happened to my book? I don't know what happened here. Half the word is blotted out. Where the proper persons had a ship with mantles and curtains and I think that's readiness. In readiness. Okay. Arise, O God, and go thy way. And God rose up, and the two with their marshals and attendants went down by the borders at the line of the pillars of fire, where the proper persons had a ship with mantles and curtains in readiness, and God and his host, even 500,000 in number, entered the ship. Meanwhile, the Essenars sang an appropriate anthem of glory to Jehovah the highest. At a given signal, the ship started upward amidst the applause of millions of angels assembled, and like a star, it shot upward higher and higher till it was seen no more. BC, peace and blessings. Audrey, hey girl, hey, Cosmine, Cal in the house. What's going on, bro? All right, yeah, where we at? Chapter 11. Okay, chapter 11, and we're going to pause after chapter 11 and hop over here to the field guide. Okay. The council of Horeb being still in session, God, that is, Eolate, ascended the throne, and the light of Jehovah fell upon God, so that he was well nigh obscured from sight. And the voice of Jehovah spake, saying, Hear ye my voice, as by my presence and of my own self I made each self, and gave thereunto power of words. So am I, and light, manifest by soul words to my Ethereal host. As to the lords of the earth, ye have provided Ashars, above them Asaphs, and betwixt all my kingdoms allotted messengers. So shall ye also provide for barbarians, familiar spirits, who shall be subject to the order of the Ashars and their lords. I created alive all men, whether Ehenes or barbarians, and your labor shall not be alone with my chosen, whom it is easy to save, but with those who also know me not and know not my worlds. Now that's something to hear the Creator say, because a lot of times people ready to write off everybody that don't believe like them. This is for the chosen, nobody else. Ain't nobody else gonna be saved but chosen. Everybody else gonna burn in hell, right? Listen to this. Verse 3, chapter 11. I created alive all men, whether Ehenes or barbarians, and your labor shall be not alone with my chosen, whom it is easy to save, but with those who also know me not and know not my worlds. For besides those destroyed by the flood, behold, the earth is still covered over with men, women, and children. That's interesting. Listen to that. How many of y'all caught that? I mean, clearly we've been through this already one time, but we know that it was still people alive, and there was only a portion of the world that was sunk down, and there was more than 8 people that were saved on the earth. Listen. For besides those destroyed by the flood, behold, the earth is still covered over with men, women, and children. In the time of Oth, ye received volunteers from Oahspe and Ethera. Give them this matter in hand. This was done, and they were divided up into groups, and the Corporans, having already been numbered by the angels of heaven, the Etherians were distributed accordingly, and these again selected and apportioned familiar spirits to abide with the barbarians. And these familiar spirits were the fathers and mothers and friends who had recently died but still sojourned in the first resurrection. So the officers provided places on the earth for these spirits and persuaded them to reappear before mortals in order to prove continued life. But the officers never showed themselves. Jehovah has said, "Provide ye the way, but cause the familiars to do the labor. Neither shall ye make a familiar of the spirit of a young man or a young woman, lest they become fetals." So it came to pass that a new department of heaven and earth was opened and set on foot during the absence of Neph. And in 1 year, the matter was in prosperity. At the end of 1 year, God returned from the Huatan colony, bringing with him 5 million volunteers, being of the third resurrection. And it being known in Horeb when he would return, a great concourse of angels gathered together to receive him in honor and to welcome the volunteers. So that when God's Etherian star descended, the vice god, Iole, proclaimed a recreation of 10 days, which was to follow immediately after God should ascend the throne and regain his presence. And so, whilst the Esenars were singing, the star alighted, and the marshals and hosts of honor proceeded to the place and received God, who at once ascended to the throne and saluted Iole, son of Jehovah, saying, "By thy will and power, O Jehovah, thy son rejoiceth in the time of this proceeding." I did, because it was still kind of like dark in the back.
Cut the lights off. Cut them off.
What I actually got it for, I meant to turn it around this way so I could cut that off. I still got to change some light bulbs right there. Turn it around this way, so no, I got some. I know they blew out again. I don't know.
It might be the brand.
Like it's brand, well, right? Yeah, we'll try that.
Did you order them, or is that something you bought from Home Depot?
I got them for full
Could be. Order some. Don't worry.
Okay. Hold on, let me go back up here. Verse 9. So that when God's Etherian star descended, the vice god Iole proclaimed a recreation of 10 days, which was to follow immediately after God should ascend the throne and regain his presence. And so whilst the Esenars were singing, the star alighted, and the marshals and hosts of honor proceeded to the places and received God, who at once ascended to the throne and saluted Iole, son of Jehovah, saying, "By thy will and power, O Jehovah, thy son rejoiceth in the time of this proceeding." Iole said, "Welcome, God of heaven and earth." And he saluted with the sign of Jehovah's name and was answered in like manner. Without more ceremony, he took off the triangle of the gods and placed it on God's neck, saying, "In Jehovah's name, receive thou the gift of the ancient gods." Hardly had this been accomplished when the starship alighted in the floor of the Congress before the council and near the altar of Jehovah, and 5 million volunteers alighted amidst the applause of the many millions assembled. And after, when the starship alighted, after starship is reference number 6, and 6 at the bottom says starship. It's a capital. The only difference is, well, it starts the sentence. I don't even really see a change. Okay, it just says starship. It looks the same exact way. All subsequent similar changes between the two editions have not been footnoted. See editor's note number 5. Okay. Verse 13, God, being reinstalled, said, "Let the marshals proclaim 10 days of recreation, for we shall account to our especial loves how we found matters in Huatan and of the power of Jehovah manifested." And right here is where we're going to pause. Right here, beautiful people. We'll pick this back up tomorrow. In chapter 12. Is he right with you? Okay. I was just curious.
You coming to work?
From here. Call me once y'all get the site. I gotta make some phone calls.
Oh, that's an excuse not to come to work?
I work. All right, y'all. Hop over to page 163. We are going to read, we are still in, what's this, chapter 7? Chapter 7, countless mental vagaries. And yesterday when we paused, I'm trying to get the hold on. Let's just go back up. I thought, why are you flashing lights?
Why couldn't this hall light don't come on? What you see over there?
No, you
That
cut
was
that
when I
up.
was over there.
Cut it on for a second.
That was over
Yeah,
there.
flashing lights. Yeah, leave that on.
You like the light?
Yeah, leave that on.
Sit up there.
Okay. All right, y'all. So let's go back up. Down at the bottom is where we pause. You'll see that line and it says Logorrhea, but I want to reread this bullet list and the paragraph directly above it. Okay. Or should I? Go all the way back to the top of the page. Go to the top of the page because that's continuing from the first paragraph. Okay. Stumbling in darkness, Matt has, for all the wrong reasons, boycotted the paranormal, which is tantamount to boycotting the soul. Yet, when the human soul gets caught in the vortex of dissociative gravity, that new dimension may pull us down. It doesn't matter that you call it the tunnel, the outer darkness, the shades, the astral, a separate reality, locale two, whatever you call it, it is essentially the same thing, the unseen, non physical side of life with a force of its own. And it is in this dimension that the inexplicables of human psychology take shape. It is in this dimension that we are open, too open to the disembodied souls wandering about in the shadows. It is in this precarious dimension that the altars drawn to multiples wait their turn to come out and, quote, take the spot, end quote. As MPD lingo puts it, that means, all right, babe, that means the spirits that you possessed by, they taking turns driving your car, driving your body, talking. There's some kind of twitch or something crazy, the eye shift, whatever it is that let you know that they shifting drivers, that happens. Okay. It is in this dimension that bipolar people pick up, quote, phantom illnesses, end quote, and, quote, unexplainable physical symptoms, end quote. Duke and Hodgman, 1992, page 243 and page 31. That's kind of like my dad. They could not figure out what was wrong with my dad. They ran all kinds of tests. And they started making theories about what could possibly be happening to him. And at this time, I hadn't come across any of this stuff yet. And I had asked my sister, I'm like, you think this could be like something spiritual? I was like, think about his life based on some of the things that we know that's happening in his life. Do you think this could be spiritual, what is happening to him, which is probably why they can't pick up what's really happening to his body? And we was like right on point, because to the day he died, they can't really explain what was happening to him. So it's weird. I mean, he did have a head injury earlier that caused him to have seizures, but it wasn't even that was happening, because he wasn't having seizures like the last, shucks, I don't even think, like the last year of his life. I don't remember that he had a seizure. Yes. Okay,
I need to buy a camera. Okay, what type of camera should I go? Because I'm trying to. So, cause look.
Talk to me about this later. Get out of here. Go and get a school boy. Bye.
So
Bye.
I can
Bye.
document my
Bye.
life.
Bye. Use your phone. Bye. Bye. Why are you still talking, Jeremiah? Okay. Y'all, I swiffle Bob every morning. He come in here with something, ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Now he talking about he need to buy a camera so he can document stuff. Bye, Jeremiah. Okay. And it is, I'm gonna read this paragraph again. And it is in this dimension that the inexplicables of human psychology take shape. It is in this dimension that we are open, too open to the disembodied souls wandering about in the shadows. It is in this precarious dimension that the altars, drawn to multiples, wait their turn to come out and, quote, take the spot, end quote, as MPD lingo puts it. It is in this dimension that bipolar people pick up, quote, phantom illnesses, end quote, and, quote, unexplainable physical symptoms, end quote. Duke and Hodgman, 1992, pages 243 and 31. No wonder bipolars overlap with multiples, and even with the possessed, the pattern of overshadowing is hardly different. It is not unusual for the manic depressive to show overt signs of entity possession. Such signs include corporelia, quote, she, bipolar, was calling John, husband, every name you could think of, end quote. Duke and Hodgman, 1992, page 12. The second bullet point is different persona. She said, said the wife of a bipolar, quote, that's another person in his skin, not the one I married, end quote. Duke and Hodgman, 1992, page 230. The third bullet point is rapid cycling. Quote, rapid cyclers are like yo-yos and feel as though they are being helplessly manipulated by some force outside themselves, end quote. Did that lock get stuck? It keeps going off.
Oh, no, so you close it once and then it'll just.
No, go check it. It's doing that whole cycling thing it does when it gets stuck. Rapid cycling is one way of describing the bipolar's mood swings and incessant change of plans, attitudes, or even appearance. And number 4, the last bullet point on the list is logorrhea, aka motor mouth. Quote, he talked a mile a minute. Duke and Hodgman, 1992, page 229. And under here, under this line is where we pause, and it's about to go into more detail of logorrhea. Logorrhea is a technical term that designates compulsive talking, aka verbal diarrhea, pink tornado, motor mouth, and so on. All right, be safe. It may also involve run-on sentences, careless syntax, neologisms, as well as excessively fast or loud speaking. Quote, anyone who talks loudly and laughs too long may be possessed, end quote. Martin Ebon, Exorcism. I gave y'all the example about this one guy at this church we used to go to where they had the Torah studies and everything, but also church services were right in the middle of Torah study. He would it could be Torah, it happened in both places, Torah study and Shabbat service. He would just bust out and just start laughing, and whoever was teaching, they wouldn't have had said they didn't say anything funny, and he would just bust out and start laughing. So naturally, everybody just kind of like turned their head trying to see what's funny. But it was crazy because you could see his eyes, and he would take his hand and like put it over his mouth to try and stop the laughing and stuff. And his eyes was like, and he just kept laughing to where he had to get up and walk out, and we'd hear him laughing out there. I'm like, yo, that is crazy. Because he looked like, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's happening. It's happening again. I can't stop it. You know, it was crazy, right? So I tend to agree with this little statement right here. Anyone who is, quote, anyone who talks loudly and laughs too long may be possessed, end quote. Martin Ebon, Exorcism. Auntie Belinda Brown, shalom. Tikva, Zachary Yahoo, shalom. Bronze, yo, report, shalom.
They talk too much.
Anyone who talks too loudly and laughs too long may be possessed.
Oh yeah, I'm nowhere near those. I barely laugh. I do.
Okay. The psychopath named Adolf Hitler, quote, was a compulsive and aggressive talker whose speeches were like a volcano erupting, a hurricane of words.
That could be explained.
End quote.
I know the reason why Hitler was that way. He actually took this I forgot what it was, but he took this stuff, and what it would do, it literally burst him up like full of energy.
What stuff?
I don't know what it was, but it was something. Hitler really wasn't a guy to talk. He was a really shy guy. But the reason why he went on his whole little thing how can I create? There was no goal in mind. How can I create as much chaos as possible in the shortest amount of time?
That was his theory.
No, that was his goal.
Okay, his goal.
And the reason why is because, of course, you see what's going around. The reason why he didn't like the Jews is we already know why, because they don't really have a very nice background. No disrespect to the people, the innocent Jews, but the ones that know what they're doing some dark stuff, and that's the reason why they're kind of implemented and have everything under there. Like when I told you, most of the people that run movies are Muslim. I don't know what the correct term is, but
the Jewish people.
Jews. They control almost everything in the system. It is crazy.
Where's my Time magazine?
That was just a little drop of facts.
I got a Time magazine that did I think it might be upstairs, or it's on that other bookcase. See if you can see that Time magazine in there. I'm gonna show them that pull out. They may have it. Since he brought it up, I got this Time magazine that did this piece on Hitler, right? But this was a time while I was still in exploring my Hebrew roots and everything. I'm like, yeah, we the people, And so I found out this little bit, and I ordered this Time magazine. It was a limited edition. Look up there. It says, you'll see it. It's a Time magazine. It should be beside another one. It's real thin. But anyway, inside of this particular one, they did this little blurb on Hitler and what he was saying about the real Jews, right? And but he said the Negro is the real Jew. I know people get in trouble for saying that now, but it is what it is, right? But he said who he was killing was they were pretty much imposters, but the real Jew was the Negro. And Time magazine did a whole piece on it. I got it. I found it and I got it. I paid a little bit of money for it. Hold on, let me see if I can see it real quick. I want to show y'all this. Hold on one second.
So the reason why he was up and talking like that, dude was possessed. He was literally fighting people that he did not like because he knew how corrupt they was. And then on top of that, took some type of elixir. That's the best way I can put it. And just it boosted his energy. It's usually for medical use, and if you use it for too long, it can cause problems. But yeah.
Hey, what happened to my magazine? I see this one. I'm missing my thing. So you kind of wait, okay? Okay, I'm gonna have to get it after we done. Like I found my other one, but that one is missing. Now I'm about to chop some fingers. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Yes, Tootie. Go ahead. Well, I don't think it's anymore. I thought you saw some. The man ate it all. Okay, y'all. I don't want to spend too much time looking for it. I probably overlooked on them two bookcases, and I'm gonna go look again. I found the other Time magazine, but it's a special edition that they did. I'm gonna find it, and I'm gonna take a picture of it. I'm gonna post, and I'm gonna share it with y'all. And I'll probably show it to y'all again tomorrow, and I'll just like pull it out. But I gotta look for it. I don't remember if I put it upstairs in my safe or if it's on my other one. But anyway, I'm gonna show that to y'all. Okay, let's get back to this real quick. On page 164, the psychopath named Adolf Hitler, quote, was a compulsive and aggressive talker whose speeches were like a volcano erupting, a hurricane of words, end quote. Wait, 1977, page 176. In Senegal, when possession seizures ended in a fall, the abnormal mutism of the subject gave way to its opposite, logorrhea. Elsewhere, an undeveloped medium nicknamed, quote, magpie, end quote, because, quote, she talked so much, end quote. Crapazano and Garrison, 1977, page 95 and 57. Let me read this whole paragraph again. Let me read it again. Bella, turn it down. The psychopath named Adolf Hitler, quote, was a compulsive and aggressive talker whose speeches were like a volcano erupting, a hurricane of words, end quote. Wait, 1977, page 176. In Senegal, when possession seizures ended in a fall, the abnormal mutism of the subject gave way to its opposite, logorrhea. Elsewhere, an undeveloped medium was nicknamed, quote, magpie, end quote, because, quote, she talked so much, end quote. Crapazano and Garrison, 1977, page 95 and 57. Go ahead. One hears of the long-winded monologues and exuberancy, loquacy, what? Loquacy of numerous psychopaths, hyperactives, ADD, ADHD, obsessives, OCD, narcissists, NPD, multiples, and the possessed. In an Australian case of spirit possession, the entity, quote, makes me talk all day, talk, 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 end quote. Sagan, 1997, page 12. And thanks to the popularity of true crime books, the record is now full of cases involving excessive garrulity of the criminally obsessed. Here's a quick rundown, and it's given another bullet point list of people. Set Apart said, I saw this documentary on YouTube years ago called Hitler, the Man No One Knows. I think it was out of Holland, and it told a whole other story about him. Yeah, Selah Shalom. So, okay, so I'm not sure that I saw that, but I saw one too, and I read through some stuff, did a little bit of research on Hitler, and they do tell a whole different story from what we got over here, right? Anytime you see Hitler, it's like, oh my gosh, mass murderer, killed off races of people, gas chamber, genocide. That's what we think about when we see Hitler, when we hear or we think about him based on information we've been taught. But if we look at it from the people who actually lived there, his people, they actually loved and adored Hitler. Right? I'm just like, what? And that was mind-boggling to me. I'm like, how could you like love somebody like this? Granted, you should love everybody, but I mean, he was one of the most, from what we understand, one of the most despicable people that we've ever heard about. You know, I'm sure there's been many more, but he's been really highly publicized. Bella, you gonna stop all that whining and stuff this morning. But that was really, really interesting. And it has in that magazine that I got when I find it, like I said, I'm gonna share some of it with you. They tell a different story. The people loved him, and he didn't like the Jews, not the black people. He made a very clear distinction on who he was talking about, right? And he said the black people are the real Jews. He said these are God's, in his terms. He said matter of fact, he said the Negro, they actually put a picture, they put pictures to distinguish who was who. Hold on. Why are you trying to use this? Girl, find the ice cream scoop. That's gonna be too hard. They showed a picture of a black person. It was a black man with a head wrap, and it showed a Jewish person. And under the picture of the black guy said Negro, and under the lighter colored skin person, a white person, it had Jew, right? And you can kind of tell because they're actually they are, Bella, I'm gonna send you upstairs. Stop the whining. You don't have to whine. Just say you can't find it. You gotta wait a minute because I'm not about to do all that right now. And so they're actually converts. They come from Europe and up around that area or whatever, right? So when they came down here, they just kind of they moved out the real people from this particular era, and they began to populate it and rename stuff and do all that. But it talks about that. And they showed the picture, and they said the Negro, it said, are God's jewels, are the real Jew, and this is the imposter. It blew my mind that they even had that in a Time magazine. I'm just like, what? So that's why I got it. You know, I found it. I heard somebody talking about it. I'm like, impossible. They ain't nobody print that in Time magazine. I heard somebody talking about it, and I went looking for it, and I found it, and I ordered it. But like I said, it was on my bookcase. I know I done talked to a couple people that came over and we was looking at it, we was going over it. I don't think I let anybody borrow that because that's one of the ones where I'm supervising you. This ain't being checked out the library. You can look at that while you're here, but then I'm gonna take it back. Look. Yeah, a lot of they took it down. A lot of what we were told were lies. Remember, the victor, absolutely, the victor tells the story, right? And so it's a lot of lies and things that have been written in history. So I'm gonna look for that when we get off of here. I got to do something, but right when I get done, I'm gonna go looking for that. It's like I said, it's probably upstairs on my bookcase upstairs, but I thought it was down here beside the other one. And I'll just scan some pictures of it and I'll post it in the community section and I'll post it like on Facebook too, so y'all can see it. And I'll show it to y'all tomorrow live. Okay. Somebody's telling a lie, somebody's telling the truth. Yep, they even had it in a documentary on YouTube. Supreme Bright Other, shalom, shalom. Yeah, if y'all find it though, share it. Okay. All right. And now, thanks to the popularity of true crime books, the record is now full of cases involving the excessive garrulity of the criminally obsessed. Here is a quick rundown. Like I said, here's another bullet point. Eric Napolitano, quote, talked nonstop, end quote, just like his mother who, quote, never shut up, end quote. PSAC, Pensiac, 1996. Bella, go upstairs. Go upstairs. You're doing the most. Go upstairs. I told you to wait. And you can be quiet or you can go upstairs. I'm going to let you choose. Eric Chapman talked, quote, too fast and too much, end quote. Markman and Bosco, 1989, page 303. John Wayne Gacy, quote, talked a blue streak, end quote. Quote, babbled incessantly, end quote. Morrison, 2004, page 97. Ken Bianchi, quote, too talkative, end quote. Fred Coe, quote, he talked nonstop for hours, end quote. Olson, 1993, page 185. And I've experienced this, right? There is somebody that I was almost kind of, okay, there is somebody that I know that y'all have heard me mention this particular person before. It's like there's definitely something else there, and we got to try and figure out how to get this person free. But it's one particular day where I was sitting talking, and I noticed the change in who was talking. Like it scared the crap out of me, but I just kind of like kept my cool while I kept talking. And this particular one that was talking through them talked for 6 hours straight, standing in the same spot here in my kitchen. And I'm shifting around the kitchen thinking like, oh my gosh, is they gonna sit down? I'm like, I know I do a lot of standing up. So I'm like, okay, all right. So tell me about that, right? So I'm thinking in my head while listening to this altar speak. I'm sitting down. I done cooked 2 meals. In my kitchen in the course of this almost 8-hour work shift of listening to this altar speak through this particular person. And it scared the crap out of me. Let me tell you one thing that they said, right? Because I'm like, Father, I'm gonna need your help because I don't know if they're gonna flip out. We standing in my kitchen. I got a block of knives standing over here. So I kind of stayed over here about a block of knives. Not that I felt like they was gonna try anything, but I don't know. But I noticed that there was a switch in personality, and I just didn't know what to expect, right? So I was like, you know what? And I tried to, I got this, and I'm like, maybe I can scare them with this. You know how the priests go to an exorcism and they got the cross and stuff, and they get close with it and try and put it up to their forehead. I'm like, I don't know that that's really gonna work. That's TV. I was like, but I'm sure gonna grab this field guide to the spirit world. So I want to grab this. So while they talking, I'm like, come on, Susan. I know you got something in here. Help a sister out. So I'm flipping through, trying to remember where everything was like, right. You ever heard about Oahspe? Oh yeah, I done read through that. You have, right? And this is not the native spirit I'm talking to. I'm talking to the altar. I said the Oahspe, like the big blue book. And I was like, no, I'm talking about this. Now when it got it, I said this. Bella, you still doing the whining for no reason. That is enough. Sure, that's enough. Go upstairs. Come on. You doing both. You just woke up whining. Come on. Go upstairs. Go upstairs. Go upstairs. You what? You don't want the pink. You do have enough. And you have this. Bella, I'm being really patient with you this morning. Go upstairs. Let's go. Go. Upstairs. Go upstairs till you get done crying. Go. Up. Okay. Thank you. Go. Just whining. I let her get ice cream. First thing in the morning. First of all, she shouldn't be having ice cream. First thing in the morning, right? Now she crying because she didn't get enough pink in her bowl. Okay, listen. All right, so back to the story real quick because I got to end in a few minutes. Okay, so I said this right here. They said, I said, so when did you read it? Not too long ago. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, what do you mean not too long ago? Like within the last year, not too long ago? I said, okay, so let me ask you, how long did it take you to read it? And they said, not that long. Like they didn't look flustered at any of the questions I was asking them. I said, they said it's a way to read it. I'm like, what do you mean there's a way to read it? They said you read it page by page. They said me, I turn it to the side and I can read hold on, let me get the words right. I can read the empty spaces between the words because when you take it and they took it from me, right? I'm like, oh, Lord have mercy, don't let it set fire. Right? So they took it from me. They said you read it normally like this, but I can read it sideways because there's a story that's being told when you turn it sideways. They said, you see this? When I look at it, I see buildings and I see the story. She said, I don't know if the altar was a she or a he. I'm just saying, it said, when I look at it, I can see the buildings and I can see cities. And I'm like, buildings and cities? What do you mean buildings and cities? They said there's a pattern that's going through it. And so I took it. I said, hold on, let me see. Okay. They said, look at the blank spaces between. Then she pointed out right here. You see the sentence, see the scriptures, see the blank spaces, right? Let me show y'all. She said, see how the scriptures, you see the empty spaces, the blank spaces between it, right? She said right there. Well, I'll say it. I don't know if it was he or she alter speaking. They said when I take it and I read it from the back, and I can read what's going on. This tells another story when you read it sideways. So now I'm sweating under my arms. I'm like, holy crap. I said, so what is the story saying? They said you read it long enough, you'll pick it up. And I'm like, and I don't want to ask too many questions because now I'm like, okay, this is sounding real crazy to me. But whoever thought I'd be sitting in my kitchen talking to somebody where I clearly know it's not the native person talking, like I'm speaking to somebody from another dimension. I'm not exactly sure how old this spirit is. But I clearly know that this is not the native person that was born in this body. Right? They say, yeah, and you flip through like this and you can read the entire story. So I'm roundabout in a way asking, well, what did you read? And so now I'm thinking when they wouldn't like get to the point, I'm like, you know what, they pulling my leg. I'm like, you know what? This ain't no author. This native person here playing me, right? So I didn't know whether to feel foolish or keep trying to find this story in between the sentences in the blank spaces of Oahspe. Y'all should have seen it. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so I see that you said that's a building that represents a building. I'm like, what? What building? Right? So I'm just like, okay. But the way they was explaining that, I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense. But here's what made my skin crawl. And they said, when you read this will tell you a story about what's really going on in this world today. And it can pinpoint people on where to find them because that's how I found you. And I'm like, and I called my sister. I was like, listen, this person can never come to my house again. I don't know what they meant about this is how I found you. I said, but my skin is crawling. And I got to pray my house out. I don't know what to say about this situation. My sister bust up laughing. I'm like, girl, you laughing, but I'm so serious. Look, what you say? Hieroglyphics are read that way. Remember, our first language ever was written was pictures. You right. And there's a saying, read. There's a saying, read between the lines. Holy crap, Elijah. I clearly heard that saying. I've used it, read between the lines. Literally, this is what that altar was saying. They're reading in between. Holy crap. I wonder if it's really more. Holy crap. Look, my skin just got hot. Look, okay. Now I don't know how to literally do that because that's literally what they were saying. Like, read between the lines of the written words on the page. This is crazy. I gotta call my sister. Listen, that's crazy, y'all. Let me go back to this chart. I'm just thinking about some of the other things that was being said. Oh, wow, wait a minute. That's crazy though. First of all, it's freaking amazing though. Would you say BC ancient spirits may be reading hieroglyphics? I don't know, Shebrew. Soul from Pan. I hope it ain't a soul from Pan here. Like, cause they ain't supposed to be here. They not supposed to be here. I don't know. That's scary. That's scary. I never thought about that, Elijah. Thank you for bringing that point out. Cause I was telling my sister, and she was like, "And what they mean? That's how they found you." So I don't know, but it's scaring me. So, I'm just finding out, really trying to get to the bottom of all this stuff with the spirits, realizing that we are spirits. Oh my gosh. Okay, listen. Let's go back to this. Or I freak myself out even more. Listen, hold on. Listen. They didn't give me an exact age, but the native born person is early 20s, right? Early 20s. So some of the things that this particular altar was saying, I even told my sister, I said, these are some ancient things. I say, and I'm not particularly sure that this particular person who owns this body studies this type of stuff. Like, I'm almost certain they don't. I was like, because it would make sense, some of the things that the altar was saying, because I recognize it from some of the ancient things I studied. And I'm just like, this is weird. So I don't know if I didn't open the door. I didn't got a bullseye on. I'm thinking about all this stuff. I'm like, what do you mean? That's how I found you. So I'm just like, Father, show me your son. I don't. What crap? Why would you allow this to come to my house? I don't know if it's some type of lesson I'm supposed to be learning, something I'm supposed to be paying attention to, but this is a person who owns the body. It's a person I care about, and I would like to see them be free and only have their spirit in their body, right? But it's just like, I don't know. BC, I need some reinforcements because I'm still learning. I'm still learning a lot of stuff. All right, you out of here?
Why in the world
All
is
right,
this
son.
girl eating ice cream in the morning? Y'all gotta.
Because I didn't want to fight with her this morning.
She gonna learn.
See, this is why Jeremiah will be one of the ones in Shalom. He said, why are you letting her eat ice cream this morning? Because I didn't want to fight with her. He was like, well, she'll learn.
Don't ever give your children ice cream in the morning. Because, it gives them a sense of power. Like, I run this in here. Don't do it.
And my thoughts behind that, you like, you know what? Let them blow all that sugar energy out early in the morning. That's my thoughts behind it.
It's unhealthy, though. That don't matter if health is involved.
Okay, Jeremiah.
The kids don't know what's good for them. They still experiencing this, bro. They only, 12 years in? She's 5 years, 6 years in?
You mad because you ain't get ice cream in the morning?
I don't like ice cream like that. I have grown away from it. I don't like
But you did, though. Yeah.
Yeah, before, but I was ignorant to the situation.
Okay.
She is as well.
Bye, Jeremiah. That's what it was, Sheeper. That's what it was. He was Maxine get ice cream in the morning. She said y'all had cookies for breakfast yesterday. Okay. Look, Ema, it could be. They know you understand about some of the spiritual things going on in the world. Girl, look, I just be like, look, I'm a newcomer to the party. I'm just trying to figure some of this stuff out. Listen, don't do me. It's too early. Don't try none of that stuff because I ain't figured it out yet. Listen. Okay. All right, number 3. John Wayne Gacy, quote, talked a blue streak, babbled incessantly, end quote. Morrison 2004, page 97. Ken Bianchi, quote, too talkative, end quote. Fred Coe, quote, he talked nonstop for hours, end quote. Olson 1993, page 185. Lily Schmidt, she, quote, talked continuously, would give a soliloquy lasting 3.5 hours. End quote. Kerwin, 1997, page 150. That's how we got on that, cuz who was speaking like literally talked 6 hours straight. I kept looking at the clock. Literally, almost a whole work shift. Some people do work 6 hour increment job shifts, literally 6 hours nonstop, no breaks, not let me get something to eat. I would say, you hungry? No. And it just kept right on talking. And I'm just like, I probably should have a pen, be taking notes or something. I should have had my phone recording some of this stuff because ain't nobody gonna believe I can have remembered some of these words that they didn't just use on some of these ancient things. I'm like, what I'm supposed to do with this, Father? When I'm supposed to remember, hopefully you're gonna remind my spirit what was said because I can't pronounce half this stuff that this person just said. It freaked me out. Lily Schmidt talked continuously, would give a soliloquy lasting 3.5 hours. Kerwin, 1997, page 150. Joel Rifkin, his was, quote, a relentless stream, a verbal flood tide, end quote. Kerwin, 1997, page 49. Diane Downs, she never came up for breath. Her swarm of words was like, quote, verbal vomit, end quote. Timothy McVeigh, he was voted most talkative in school. Kathy Woodard, quote, she just started talking and didn't stop. End quote. Cawful, 1992, page 438. Excuse me. Clifford Olson, quote, a blabbermouth. He talked too fast, staccato, end quote. Hare, 1993, page 133. And I think I'm going to read to the end up to this next quote on the next page, and then we got to stop. Iman, let me know what you see, sis. She said, I'm going to try and read my Oahspe sideways to see if I can see anything. Right. And it was pointing out, it flipped to different portions and books in here. It said, look at this. Can you see this? I'm like, I see blank spaces. I know you see blank spaces, but there's something else there, especially between this portion right here. And then I'm like, what? I'm like, Father, open my eyes to see because I'm blind. Help me see. But I didn't see anything but blank spaces. But they was going on to explain what was there and what it said between the lines of the words. I'm just like, what if I got myself into? Why are these spirits coming to me? All right. Page 165. With the publication of the manic depressive film Star, with the publication of the manic depressive film star Patty Duke's confessional biography, A Brilliant Madness, co-authored with Gloria Hodgman, we see just how close bipolar symptoms come to a spiritual, not a medical condition. Add this to Miss Duke's corporilla and logorilla, quote, she'd call friends and talk nonstop, end quote. Her rapid cycling, quote, I rode a wild roller coaster, end quote. Her otherness, quote, there is something that takes over, end quote. Her telepathic episodes, phobias, tantrums, and panic attacks at the cemetery. The gifted actress may have carried an altar or two. MPD may have been clairaudient. Hold on. I'm sorry. The gifted actress may have carried an altar or two, MPD, and may have been clairaudient. Void quote, voices talk to me through my car radio, end quote. Oh my God. This just reminded me of something that they said. Oh my gosh. This, you can't make this stuff up. During the course of this 6 hour dissertation, while talking to this spirit, it began talking about messages that were given over the radio waves while songs are being played. Now that I was like, okay, I believe that, you know, in certain radio stations, and for them to stay up to date with what's going on in the spiritual realm, all they got to do is go to the radio and turn to certain stations, and they'll be able to pick up like what's happening spiritually. I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? I just listen to the radio to jam out. This just reminded me of that. Think about how currency is folded and gives you pictures of, oh snap, you're right, mom. Look. No, they didn't say, Jamia, that's a good question. Did they say if they thought the Oahspe was a lie? They did not, right? They did not say that they thought it was a lie. I asked them if they believed it. They said it's true, right? But they said there's a deeper story that's being told between the lines of those words. I'm just like, I wanted to say, well, is there another edition coming out that's giving us the interpretation of these words? But I really wasn't trying to press my luck, because like I said, I saw the change and the flip over the spirit and stuff, and I'm just, because my kids are in the house, right, and they were upstairs, and I'm just like, I'm careful, like I said, and we was in the kitchen, and I got this big two knife blocks in here, and I'm just like, my gun is upstairs, and it's just like I was just really being careful. Yeah. um People do, Jamia said, people do listen to voice using radio waves. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why they aren't ascending. I don't know. They know, look, outlook, shoot. I don't know. I'm just, look, don't be playing around with me, y'all, because I'm just trying to figure some of this stuff out. I'm like, Father, keep me safe. Oh my goodness. Y'all, this is making my skin crawl. All right, let me finish this. Yeah, um my mom mentioned something. Y'all ever seen somebody take a dollar bill? I forget. It could be a dollar bill, it could be a 20, whatever. And they fold it in a certain way and they show you the two twin towers burning and on fire the way they fold it, right? And so that's a really good analogy. I've seen that done, right? And it foretells different events that's going on throughout throughout the world and throughout the different times, even in our time. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Uncle JB, shalom. Set apart. Look, she said they found you, remember? I'm just like, Father, they make sure I got all these doors closed spiritually, naturally. I don't know what they think they found when they found me. All I'm doing is reading books out loud to people. They tell them they got the wrong address. Tell them they done found the wrong person. They not looking for me.
Well, what if in the middle of we had soaring sprints?
What?
What if in the middle of we had soaring sprints? Every time we jump, run and jump, we stay in the air longer.
You can. You practice long enough.
And then we jump farther.
No, you can. Practice.
No, like, guess what? If I just run in one place and then jump up,
Yeah.
I'll get zero gravity for a second.
That's good. Elijah, we're a light to thoughts in the dark, so that they may learn and ascend. Right, that's good. Let me read that again. We are a light to thoughts in the dark, so that they may learn and ascend to the all highest. That's good, because there is something in this book that's mentioned at the beginning. But wait a minute, Zay. The gentleman.
Well,
by Whitley Strieber, right? I got it. I'm trying to fix my lighting. Leave it alone. In this book by Whitley Strieber. Anyway, the Ford here, in his book that he what is his book called? There's a book he wrote about him and his wife and their spiritual experience and what began to happen after she passed away. It's really good. Okay, yeah, in the book, The Afterlife Revolution, right? In there, he talks about how the spirit, like the spirits can see us from the spiritual realm, like we can see us like flesh and stuff, right? But the spiritual realm, they can see us based on how bright we shine, and they're attracted to the light, right? So when you said that, Elijah, we are a light to thoughts in the dark so that they may learn to ascend to the all highest, right? So like attracts like, and light also attracts light, right? So if they're on the path of ascending, wherever your Ashar, your guardian angel, set whatever region you're at, right? Somewhere within that region where the most light is coming from, you will be gathered there in order to learn so you can continually ascend. Like there's a whole education that's still happening after we pass away and we go to the dirt. But I like how it says that in his book, because I'm gonna have to pull it out. I don't want to mess the words up, but it talked about that a little bit, and how the spirits can see the light from the beings who actually still have their bodies, whether of a darker hue, or you can tell that they are a higher spiritual grade. It didn't say grade; it said of they had their spiritual levels were higher based on how bright their light was, the light that was coming from their body, from their aura, from their person, their spirit, right? So they can see us, right? But they can also see the light and how bright we shine. It was really interesting. If y'all get a chance, y'all should listen to that. They got it on Audible, and you can get the paperback version. Yes.
Is that a lot to my brother?
Huh? No, that's not your brother Elijah. No. The Holy Megillah mentions this in chapters 14 and 15. What book, Elijah? Tell them the book, and I'm gonna screenshot a little piece.
Can I get a soda?
Wait, son, go wash your face and stuff. What book in the Megillah, Elijah? Put that up there. And I'll reshare it. Okay, let me finish this little paragraph. Okay. The gifted actress may have carried an altar or two, MPD, and may have been clairaudient. Quote, voices talk to me through my car radio, end quote. The overshadowing of Patty Duke, not so unusual among highly creative artists, could be summed up in her own words. Quote, the manias and the depressions seem to have a life of their own, end quote. Duke and Hodgman, 1992, page 10, page 27, page 29, 111 through 12, 1 through 3, and 14 through 18. Duke, as it happens, had also gone through an anorexic period, dropping to 73 pounds. Calling this an eating disorder does not even begin to define these baffling cases of personal bodily depletion. In Miss Duke's case, anorexia, depression, insomnia, and suicide attempts went hand in hand. What do all these afflictions add up to? Anorexia alone has significantly been linked to hauntings and overshadowing. Dr. Fior's overshadowed patient Barbara, for example, barely ate. She was so skinny her ribs stood out. She admitted feeling, quote, spirits around me at night. I've wondered if it was the boy who used to live in our home. He was killed in a surfing accident just before we moved in. I can almost feel him in there, end quote. Fiora, 1987, page 84. Similarly, in a British case, a man suffering from exhaustion and extreme weight loss knew there was, quote, a male spirit in a house, which in fact he had seen on more than one occasion. The spirit had started to become attached to him and was certainly draining him, end quote. S. Allen, 2007, page 137. In the full-scale haunting of Pat Montadon's San Francisco mansion, involving every shocking aspect of the supernatural and then some, Pat's very person was overshadowed, unaccountable fatigue, severe dizziness, and anorexia. They called her Twiggy. There is an unusually high incidence of anorexia among multiples who, as we will soon see, are creatures of overshadowing par excellence. To name a few, the famous Eve was thin, quote, to the point of emancipation, end quote. Lancaster, 1958, page 55. The equally famous Sybil, 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighed in at 79 pounds. Yet another well-known multiple, Dr. Brower's Anna O, would only eat on his insistence. In fact, stomach aches and eating disorders are fairly typical of multiples. Quote, all my essence has gone to others, end quote. Jenny, as quoted in Judith Spencer, suffered the child. So go back up at Dr. Brower's Anna O would only eat on his insistence. After insistence, there's an asterisk. And down at the bottom, it says, sometimes the patient has mysteriously lost her appetite. This happened, for example, to an overshadowed Malaysian girl. Quote, her food and drink were tasteless, and she could neither relax by day nor night, nor sleep at night. She resisted the food that was urged on her, end quote, end quote. Crapazano and Garrison, 1977, page 308. And this is where we're going to pause right here. It's not done, but it's going into this portion about the person with 400 altars. We'll start that tomorrow. And it's going into some leeching and stuff in different countries like Africa. Well, I'm sorry, in Africa. All of these are in Africa. Senegal, Egypt, Sri Lanka. Oh no, not Sri Lanka. Italy, France, Britain. It's a few different places, but we'll start that tomorrow. It kind of carries on from what we were talking about today. It's just giving you some different aspects of what's happening here. So we'll pause right here. 166. Okay, Elijah, you said the fourth candle, the 12 tribes of Israel, chapter 14. I got it upstairs. Give me a second. Hold on. I got a few minutes. Give me a second. Let me see something real quick. Let me grab it. All these books. Okay. The fourth candle. Hold on. The fourth candle, the 12 tribes of Israel. What? Oh, I think you might have the, what you call it? Israel. Nope. You got a page number. Give me the page number. Just in case while I'm looking for it, because I got to find it. The scroll. The initiates of Shemesh. Temple. Teachers. Got a page number, Elijah? Hold on. I see it's a lot of chapter 14 and 15, but I got to find that portion about Israel. I wanna go to it. Golden, no. What you said? The fourth candle.
Mom,
Fourth candle.
have you
Yes.
soda?
Boy, go ahead. Go on.
So that means I get to get one.
You better leave me alone.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Elijah. Let me see if I can find it. He on his way to work. Okay. Give me a second. I think I can find it. It's the fourth candle, the 12 tribes of Israel. Let me try. Oh, this index is a little bit different. It's not really an index. It's just that those expanded footnotes. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna find it. Hold on. I want to see that.
Mom.
Let me see. Because if he just got it, he got to be still close by the beginning.
That's too much for this.
Precepts, 7 precepts, 12. I know it's a subtitle in here, but I gotta find Elijah. Is it in? Let me ask you this. Do you remember? Is it in one of the books of the Eternal Covenant, like Enoch, Hanukkah, Zayn, Shlomo, Noah, or is it within the books of the Holy Gospel? If you remember, maybe like in the book of Moses, maybe. Not sure. Don't remember. I know you. You driving, so don't text. Don't text. Hold on, y'all. Let me try and let me see. We might have to just come back. It might take too long for me to find it because it's a lot of subtitles and stuff. But I know he just got it, and I think he's reading it straight through. So it has to be. He has to have read that somewhere towards the beginning. Let me see something. Chapter 6. Let me try something. Let's try here. No. What was that portion about Israel? Hold on. I'm gonna find it, y'all. It says Yasharal. Hold on. No, that couldn't be it. Let me see. Ethiopia. No. It's probably definitely not that. I might have to come back, y'all. And let me just try this just in case. Let me try this chapter 14. Page 418. Nope, that's definitely not it. That's really short. That's 16. Chapter 18 of this. Nope, this one's not it. Yeah, I might have to wait for you to give me the actual direct point because I want to read that. I want to read that little portion. Okay, y'all. I'm sorry. This book is huge. It's the same size of the Oahspe. It's the Holy Megillah, a Nazarene Bible of the Essene Way. Um, but I didn't know that was in there. Like I said, I haven't gone all the way through it, but the information in here is amazing. Um, but I wanted to read that point that you said you saw that in here. Okay, y'all. So I ain't gonna spend too much time on it. I was hoping I'd be able to go right to it and find it, but I'm still navigating my way around this as well. So once I get it, I'm gonna go ahead and highlight it. I'll probably post it if I get it from Elijah. He's going to work, so it probably won't be till later today. But if I find it before he gives it to me, I'll post it and we'll revisit this tomorrow. Um, but all right, but let's just go ahead and get out of here. I don't want to spend too much time on that. So we'll get it. We'll find it and share it. All right, y'all. But thank y'all for hanging out. Thank y'all for hanging out this late. It is Monday, December the 5th, 2022, day 280 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1300, 1300. We read in Oahspe. We're still in the book of Off, Son of Jehovah. And we read pages 75 to 77. And then we hopped over here to the Field Guide to the Spirit World, reading a little bit more of chapter 7 on page 163. We started on page 163 and we paused on page. Sorry. Pause on page 166. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get out of here. Father, we thank you that your wisdom never ends. There's always something new that we think is new for us to unfold. Thank you. All right, beautiful people, that's it. I see y'all back here tomorrow. Thank y'all for hanging out. I'm gonna look for this stuff and I'm gonna find that I gotta get my Time magazine and I'm gonna take a picture of that portion in there with Hitler where it's talking about. Some of you may have seen it because I saw it floating around last year on the internet, but I'm gonna give you a good clear shots of it from there. Hitler, when he was talking about who the real Jew was and had them side by side, and who he said God's jewels were. So, all right, y'all. I love y'all. See y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.